So now, I guess it's just a matter of making us some really cool dubbing. I'm going to make up some olive, something olive. Let's make up a sort of a blue olive color, I guess, for bluing olives. We'll make up kind of an olive, medium to dark olive sort of color. That'd be kind of cool to start with, I guess. You can use dubbing on a lot of different dry flies and nymphs, but especially nymphs you use a lot of dubbing on. And most of your mayflies use dubbing on the nymph, and quite often doubling on the dry fly. Use dubbing on scuds, use dubbing on elk hair caddis and other kinds of, like an X caddis for the body. And the buggier the stuff looks, the cooler it looks not only to you but to the fish. Now, when I get done making this dubbing here, I'm going to just without any fanfare, I'm just going to set it out here on the table, and we're going to do a little close-up of it. And it quite often comes out almost like magic. You just really don't expect it to be that cool when you see it come out of there. You kind of expect, oh, it's just going to be your usual, you know, sort of dubbing stuff. But this stuff, when it comes out, when it finally get all done, it looks like magic. And yeah, you're really going to love this. So let's do an olive dubbing. We have to make some decisions here now, of course. I guess probably the thing is, that's probably too dark to use. We're going to use a light olive here. This is just a little bit lighter, but I might use just a touch of the dark olive in it. I think that dark olive is just too dark. So I'm going to move the blender right over here up front where you can watch what I'm doing. And we start with a base color, olive base color. But I wanted to darken it up just a touch, so we're going to just throw in just a tuft of dark in there. Do I want any other kind of base to go into that? I don't think so. I think that's fine. That's cool. So there's our base. That was easy. Now we're looking at some natural. I always throw a little natural in. I don't know why, it just seems like the right thing to do. I'm not a purist by any means, but a purist would say natural is better. So let's just throw in a little bit of this for guard hairs. So I'm going to throw a few guard hairs out of here. Not exactly real dark, but not exactly real light either. Actually, this is a little bit darker than I wanted, but I'll throw it in there. See if I can get some of this less dark here. I'm taking my scissors and coming down and picking this stuff out, but you know, there's some other cool ways of doing it. You can do it with a razor blade or an X-Acto knife and just get in there and cut right along the hide. That works really well. Also, a pair of mustache trimmers. You can just get in there. If you're going to make a lot of dubbing, just get some mustache trimmers, and it's just an electric razor, and just go right across there, and it'll all just fall off. And it's really, really cool too. But to just make small amounts of dubbing, I'm just using a plain old pair of scissors. Try not to bite off too much of it though, because if you bite off too much, you'll get it stuck. It'll start jamming in here, and you'll actually bend your scissors a little bit. So just take small pieces off at a time. Don't try to get this much. Try to get, you know, about that much at a time. So now we're going to get our olive stuff out here, and we got a choice between maybe putting in. Here's some nice stuff down right about there. We're going to get some nice olive, pure olive color in sort of a medium, small to medium size right there. And I cut that off and just rake it right in there like that. And we'll get a few guard hairs up in here. Those are too small. Let's get some guard hairs out of right here. You can use your scissors to kind of move this stuff around to see what you're getting. And I'm going to take just a little bit of stuff out of right there. My guard hairs. Okay. And then we'll take a little different shade of olive. This will kind of brighten it up a little bit. We're going to take some nice stuff out of right here. And try not to get any of these whiskers in there. I mean, yeah, you can pick it out later. It isn't a big deal or anything if you happen to get one in there, but they don't blend up very well. And yes, there are some uses you can find for them as antennae and things like that. Here's a nice little piece right here. Well, yeah, oh, come on. There we go. Got a nice little chunk of stuff there. There's a nice piece there. Wow, that's going to look good. As if you can't tell, making dubbing is fun too. It's artistic, and it makes your fly look extra buggy and extra good. It's just a lot of fun to do. Yeah, unfortunately, a lot of the dubbings you find on the wall just bore me. But that doesn't mean you can't buy the dubbings off the wall and create something that doesn't, something that's real artistic and beautiful. And you'll see how cool this is here in a minute. Now we're going to go through our various colors of ice dubbing here and find something really cool. I think probably something in the medium olive sort of variety. This kind of stuff right here. We'll put a pinch of that in there. I guess we're all set and ready to go, and the thing is, when this comes out, it's either going to be something where you say it needs a little bit more of this, or it needs a little bit more of that, or we put too much of this in, or it's just going to come out like magic. You're going to look at it and go, oh my gosh, that's perfect. That usually happens more than not, that it comes out perfect. And no two batches of dubbing come out exactly the same, and that's kind of cool too. They're all a creation. They all come out a little bit different. That is a beautiful olive, medium olive dubbing. It's going to look fantastic on a hook. It has a lot of natural stuff in it. Notice that little bit of sparkle that you see there. A little bit of sparkle is just going to get the attention of the fish a little bit, and maybe make this a little more attention getting than the natural that might be right next to it. You know, they notice this, they see that little sparkle, it gets their focus on your fly, and they take your fly instead of the natural one next to it, just because it had that little bit of sparkle in it. It's got some, when you get this on a hook, it's going to look really, really buggy, and the color's cool. And why don't we put this on a hook and see what it looks like here. Okay, now we're going to put this on a hook. And I just have any size, a little bit larger hook here so that you can see this a little bit easier. This isn't something we'd be doing for, say, like a blueing olive, but at least it'll give you an idea what this looks like on a hook. Some folks, including myself, especially when you first start tying, have a real problem with dubbing, and some people spend their whole lives avoiding dubbing just because of that. I started guiding on the Yakima River back in 1983, and back then there were no fly shops anywhere around. Fly tying materials was pretty much out of even out of herders. It was pretty old, pretty hard to come up with flies. You couldn't buy commercial flies, and getting materials was very difficult. And so I had to come up, for the first 5 years or so that I was guiding, I had to tie every single fly with whatever materials I could find, which wasn't much. The first 5 years I avoided dubbing because I was just so bad at it. It was just really, really sad. But eventually I found that when I couldn't come up with the right colors for the bugs I was using, I had to create my own colors. And so I started making dubbing, sort of out of self-defense. But once I finally got the hang of dubbing, that now you can't get it out of my hands. It's that good. And so if you're having a little trouble with your dubbing, I'll go through this step by step and show you some easy ways to overcome your fear of dubbing. Otherwise, just hang in here and see how nice this looks on a hook. It's going to look fantastic. Again, it looks just like magic. And it's going to look like magic on the hook here too. So let's get going on this. Now, I don't use dubbing waxes. I don't do dubbing loops or anything like that. I do it the straight old-fashioned way, and as you can see, that's the way it looks absolutely the nicest. The only thing I use out of the ordinary is a little bit of spit on my fingers here and there. So other than that, yeah, pretty much don't, I just do a straight dubbing method, and you'll see how nicely this comes out. Now there's no sense in going out over about 4 or 5 inches here, because you wouldn't be able to come around here and not hit things, you know, around here anyway. Plus, by the time you got down into here, your dubbing would have already fallen off, so it's just not, it's pretty, even if you think you need like 6 inches of dubbing to do the hook, don't do 6 inches here, do 4 and then add 2. That's don't try to do it all at once. I think 4 or 5 inches for most flies will be sufficient. If it isn't, again, do 4 and add 2. Instead of using dubbing wax at this point, I'm going to go ahead and just put just a little bit of spit on the thread, wipe my fingers off so the dubbing doesn't stick to my fingers, take a pinch of dubbing and just put it on the hook. I didn't want to stay. I'm going to put another little bit of spit on my fingers and just help it kind of stay. And all I want to do is get it to stay. We're not trying to get it all wrapped up and around and around and around all of it right off the bat. We just want it to stick there. And notice how I kind of spread it out so when it does stick there, it sticks uniformly instead of having narrow areas and fat areas. So now you can see how it's reasonably even. Now I'm going to lick my fingers and just do a 1, 2, one direction or the other, doesn't matter which direction. Lick my fingers again and do a 1, 2 again. And if I need a third one, do a 1, 2 again. Now we have it pretty much part of our thread, but we need it to be just a little bit more attached than it is. So I'm going to go 1, 2 again. 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2. And now see how it's really nicely attached to the thread. But it's not globbed on, and so still want it to have this nice spacey sort of look here. If you do see a spot that's questionable, you might do one more little thing like that. But don't get carried away, because that's usually the problem that people have. Then we're going to run the thread up right to the beginning of the dubbing up here. Now I like to put my dubbing on fast. I think it goes on way better if it goes on fast. If you try to slowly pick each spot, eventually your dubbing is going to start separating on you, and you're going to have all kinds of problems. I think you put it on before you separate it, and don't let it separate. Get it on really fast. And so as I put it on fast, you have to sort of concentrate on what I'm concentrating on. I'm concentrating exactly where the thread is on the hook. I'm deciding, and then I'm deciding whether it needs 1 wrap, 2 wraps, or 3 wraps over that particular portion of the fly to get the perfect shape of the bug that I want to get. And so I'm concentrating very hard on whether I want 1 wrap, 2 wrap, 3 wraps. And when I think it looks right, then I advance forward, and then I either put 1 wrap, 2 wrap, 3 wraps, and then advance forward, and I'm making these decisions quickly. If you can learn to do this, this really looks nice on a hook. So here it goes. I can't slow this down or it won't look as nice. Watch how fast this goes. And don't stop, no matter what, even if it looks like it's all coming apart on you. Don't stop. And look at that. Probably if you watch that really close, it looked like it was disaster right in the middle of it. It looks like it was going to explode on me. It just looked like there was no chance of ever saving the fly. Look, I never gave up on it, and look what happened. If you watch me real close, there were about twice in there where I thought the whole thing was just going to explode on me. I've never had one fail. You just keep working it, and it comes out perfect every time. Now, if there's something you don't like about it, get in there and pick it out. This is the time to pick it out. Now let's see how buggy this thing looks after we kind of pick it out just a little bit. See how nice and buggy that thing looks. Isn't that magic? And that's how you put dubbing on a hook. And don't be afraid of it. Just keep drying it. And don't be afraid if it looks like it's going to blow up right in the middle of that of putting the dubbing on. Just keep going. Believe me, it'll all work out. And if there's a part that sticks out a little bit too much, pinch it out at the end, and then pull it all out and get this beautiful, nice, even body. And you can see how cool all those little sparkles look like in there. And all the hair that's sticking out just makes it look buggy. All that stuff when you're bringing it in through the water or on the surface of the water, all that stuff moves and just makes it look alive to the fish. and that little bit of sparkle to get their attention and get their focus on your fly, and then that little bit of lifelike sort of breathing motion of all those little hairs sticking out and fibers sticking out, it is going to mean the difference between catching a couple of big fish on a day, maybe. Give this a try, making your own dubbing, and I think you won't be disappointed. And you can always stop by the store here. We're more than happy to point out some of the things you might need. We can maybe even sit down and show you something here in the store about making dubbing and putting dubbing on a hook. If you're having a problem with, we'll be more than happy to help you with that. So stop by the store sometime, and we'll give you a hand with that. And otherwise, have some fun. This is Tim Irish. I'll be seeing you later. Bye.